It's only entertainment.
And welcome back to The Green Rush, the business of cannabis. I'm Rick Thompson, along with co-host Josh Kincaid. The Green Rush is a 2-hour weekly live cannabis business talk show produced by Pro Cannabis Media. We broadcast every Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard, where we discuss news issues in the cannabis market. And each week we have a deeper dive into specific topics of the industry. This is our second interview of our Athletes in Cannabis program. And I'm very pleased to announce Darren McCarty will be joining us for the second segment. Darren, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Rick. Thank you, Josh, for having me. Appreciate not only our friendship way, but what you do for the plant.
Appreciate you saying so. Thank you. Darren, you are such a multi-talented individual. As far as cannabis goes, we should talk a little bit about your cannabis businesses, and then we'll talk about CTE and some of the other things that you may have experienced, as well as how you use cannabis to mitigate those issues. You've got DarrenMcCarty.com. You've got your line with PinCanna. You have so many different things going on in cannabis. Can you just give us an overview of what you have happening?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the Darren McCarty brand, which I'm proud to announce, or letting me say this, is that there's changes being made. And yes, my relationship in the past with PinCanna, and I would never close any door, but the Darren McCarty brand, myself, is exploring and putting it out there right now, new options. In my world, it's called a free agent. But I'm looking, and so many things have changed in the last couple of years. And I think just the direction that I want to go to get this plant, and the big thing for me in the Darren McCarty brand, and why I started, the first product that I ever released was a CBD roll-on, right? A topical for pain. To really, my focus is on pain relief and sleep. And so what I've been able to do, and God bless everybody up at PinCanna that has helped me, from Brent's to Matt's to Dave's to Brian's to everybody who's put the blood, sweat, and tears in to make the medicine that works. But now you run into issues of getting the medicine out there, because I come to this plant not only as a former athlete with pain issues, sleep issues, but I'm an alcoholic. And without this plant, I would not be alive. 11/11/15 is my sobriety date. I used to be 280 pounds. My blood pressure was 265 over 165. If I drank another drop of alcohol, I think my liver would have exploded. But through the love and support and the care of the caregiver program in Michigan, and through Rick Simpson, our RSO, I did a detox on that for a week. That was purging, and I got the physical addiction away. So I realized that there's a lot of things to combat. So I'm a big proponent of that. The easiest thing is to see the picture behind me, and everybody asks, "What is that?" And I said, that is a photo that I got. It's a 6-foot tall one that's painted of me climbing the glass after we won the Stanley Cup in '97 to share with the fans. That's what it's all about now, because I've hung that jersey up, but I've taken the wing wheel off and I put the plant there. And I will protect this plant as much as I protected any of those teammates, because it's about the truth, and it's about you having an option. So that's why where I'm at this point, it's so important to have alliances, allegiances, education, like personally, to everybody out there, Rick Thompson plays a huge part in my education and my recovery. Him and Jamie Lowell, where they're the, for lack of a better term, it's the two guys in the Muppets that sit up and they make fun of everything. That's how I look at these guys. These are the OGs to me for education. Why? Because they show us, what we're fighting for and why we're fighting for it, and to give everybody an option. That's what it's about. So the brand in itself, where if you can find it throughout this great state, it makes it sad to me that I can't say, where are you? And I can tell you exactly where to get the product, right? And that's an issue. So me being me, it's bigger than anything else, but I'm looking for conversations. I tell everybody now, throw an email to nick@darrenmccarty.com. That's the easiest way to do it. Because as much as everything's moving forward nationally, my priority is the people in this state, and I want to do laps of this state and make sure that this state is a leader in cannabis. And you know what I want, Rick, is I want people to know me more for what I do for this plant than any of those 4 championships that I'm super proud of, right? And that's just me being me. I've always tell everybody I'm going to be the first pro hockey player with 4 cups and a cannabis cup. You know, that's my next goal when I get things right. So it's living this plant and for other people to know that they have the option. Because why? Because at one point on November 10th, 2015, Darren McCarty didn't think that he had an option or a way to live. If that is you, so I come with the addicts, and that's why the CBN is so important, the CBD for pain. Hey, yes, I'm flower power all the way. Right, that's why we're revamping, and if you can see right there, that'll be the new gourmet Darren McCarty premium cannabis, and it's the only time you'll ever see PC behind my name, premium cannabis. So there's a lot to be done. There's a lot that everybody's doing their best, but at the end of the day, it's about this plant that saved my life. So how can I serve this plant to the best of my ability?
Well, Darren, you were certainly an ambassador for the plant before you became involved with PinCanna. I can testify to that. But you also made it was important to you when you first launched your product line to have something that even a new cannabis user would be able to utilize. So you had some very low dose THC products to help people get into the industry and to discover exactly what worked for them, giving more options, which you've mentioned several times. That's important to you, isn't it?
It really is, Rick, and it's important because I look at this as a medicine. I tell everybody I'm never high. I'm always fully medicated. Then it's for your safety, right? So if you're like that, but it's important because as you get into this plant, right, the biggest thing to me is CBN, and the fact of to be able to combine CBN and CBD and allow people to go to sleep. And I'm talking people that haven't had a night's sleep in years and years to even military guys that suffer PTSD. This stuff works. But as far as the flower and stuff, people hear the word ensemble and entourage as far as effects. Well, that's what, that's what I'm into. I'm into the feeling, right? And I don't need to, I know it. Listen, I got the greatest iSpire rig in the world if I want to take it to Mars. Right. But I need to know how to operate in certain things that I want to do. And I believe that this plant, when you learn your own endocannabinoid system, and it's through trial and error, but this plant you'll respect because you'll overdo the edible once. Right. And then you'll figure out. And that's why with my edibles too, which I'm so proud of, if you get your hands on them, individually wrapped, low dosage. And it's easy to share because I want everybody to be able to baby step their way into it. There's so much great product out there at the high level with everybody trying to get that's great. I mean, I'm the one in there like here, Michigan grown, one of my favorites. There it is, the Cushmans. Yes. You can always get me with Cushmans too. But like, there's so much great flower. It's just, I know that on a medicinal level, when I look at my flower, and because if you go into any of the dispensaries, you look at the price point. Mine is very affordable price point, and that's not because it's not good weed, right? People look at the tea. It's about educating people properly, right? And that's why I always say, don't tell me it's Cushman's. Tell me it's Michigan grown Cushman's. Tell me it's PinCanna. Tell me it's Franklin Fields. Tell me it's that's how. And it's about education too. And you know what? I come by that humbly because it's conversations that I've learned surrounded by people like Rick and Josh and everything else.
Yeah. Well, you're a 4-time Stanley Cup champion. I'm sure Josh has a question or two for you to throw at you there, Darren. Go ahead, Josh.
I do. I've got some questions about sleep, because I think that's a really important point to pain. A lot of recovery happens during that sleep process. And if you can't get your brain to actively shut up, you'll never get there. A lot of people have tried CBD and it never got there because their brains are still activated. It doesn't allow them to really fully rest and fall asleep. They'll sit there and lay there for hours. You mentioned, I was going to ask you, and then I think you maybe answered it. Maybe you can elaborate on it. With CBN, you don't have to have the entourage effect. If some people are worried about THC, they're freaking out. So what is this CBN you're talking about?
So CBN is the sedative part of the plant. And actually, if the plant grows, like if you let it, you leave it in flower longer, it will go into a sort of CBN state, right, Rick? I'm not talking anything out of what we've learned. And it's the sedative part of the plant. So it's your sleep agent for your endocannabinoid system. So the fact is that just like CBD, but what the CBN does, and here's the brilliant part of it. And it makes sense because our endocannabinoid systems have been depleted. Why? Because back in the 30s, when the crops stopped eating the grass that had the hemp, then we stopped eating the chicken that had. So our systems are depleted. Now we're getting more CBD into it, right? Which helps with your appetite. It helps with your pain relief and different things like that. But the CBN specifically is the sedative. What this will do, and you only need a small amount. I think that my gummies are at like 2 milligrams but they're combined with the CBD. So what the CBN, I find that it does, and that's why in the Darren McCarty brand, I cross the CBN and the CBD for the people, because I'm always looking for the people that are not into the THC or scared of that word. That's okay. I'll get you there as long as a plant, but you might not need it. So the fact that the CBN and what it does, you're talking about your thoughts, it doesn't put you to sleep. What it allows you to do is when you want to go to sleep, it will take all the jumbling. And in my case, and this is, I've talked to many people, it sort of flattens it out and it makes one track. So then there's one thought and one, and next thing you know, you're out. What I was always told is you want to have a minimum of 4 hours of sleep. But that 4 hours of sleep, you're going to get more REM, and you're going to get more, like you're talking about, healing, and to be able to do it. And here's the one thing, to some people that have the feedback that I have, is that they didn't have to get up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night like a lot of us do, right? Which is a blessing in disguise. Now, there's also part of my gummy, the gummy line, which has CBD, it has THC CBD, the game day, which are the day use, straight THC. It has CBN THC. That's for if you're looking, if you're looking for, like, you haven't slept, but you know you need a recovery sleep, and say you could sleep in on the next day, and you're like, man, I hate getting up at 8 a.m. I could sleep in till 10. Well, it'll help you stay asleep a little bit longer. And it's all trial and error to what your individual system is, but it's work. It works. It works. I prefer the CBN CBD ones, even over the ones with the THC. I know how to fill the system up on the THC, right? I just don't want to know how to shut it down. And it's just something that's like so important. Because I always believe it's sort of like I always say Inception, the movie Inception. But if you control the sleep world or the dream world or whatever, if everybody woke up and no matter if they had to deal with life, they had a good night's sleep, they're going to be a little bit nicer to each other, right? Isn't that cannabis at work? Like, that's the whole thing. Like, I always believe that this plant, if we don't destroy the world before, this plant has always been here to save the world.
I happen to have I have some Vlasic Labs CBN right here, and I just wanted to show our viewers who may be unfamiliar with what when it's separated out as a separate cannabinoid. I don't know how well you can see that, but it's just a powder. That's all. It's easily dabbed. It's easily added to a joint. So the way that you take CBN can be incorporated into the regular way that you use cannabis on a normal basis. So I just wanted to share that, Josh. Go ahead with your next question.
Yeah, I was just curious. I mean, hockey is so brutal. Aside from the UFC, it's the only, I think, pro sport where you can get in a fight. And so I just imagine all of the ailments that happens. And to your point, Darren, I never get sober after THC and say, oh my God, I'm sober. But when for me, CBG, cannabigerol, when the anti-inflammatory properties of CBG wear off, I'm like, whoa, we need some more powder, put that in my coffee. That's the first thing I do as I wake up. I have that in my coffee, powder, water, water soluble, flavorless. And that whole endocannabinoid system you keep talking about to get all of the whatever cannabinoids you need. If it's anxiety, do CBD. If you need to sleep, CBN. If you need anti-inflammatory, CBG, and the other 300 or whatever unknown cannabinoids we have, and all of that. So a retired hockey player, I would imagine you're going to need all of those things. So is that something you just sort of live by as a result of the pain that you've endured?
Well, that's the whole thing, right? Never knew you had the option to. What you're telling me right here is I'm putting it in because I could try it with my system. Mm-hmm. The beautiful thing about the endocannabinoid system is you're just responsible to get it in. It'll do what it's supposed to do. That's the beauty. It's like every other system you have in your body that works that. So it's your responsibility if you're using it medicinally and it's as a medicine to enhance your human experience, so to speak, then don't you want to be responsible? It's the same thing as why people go keto and go organic and do anything else. It's the when you look at it about fueling your system. If you're going to go out there and run a marathon and you're going to go out there and isn't this all part of you wanting to be better to yourself? For me, I beat the living crap out of myself more than I did anybody else in my life, from the inside, the outside, everything else. I didn't think I'd make it to 50, but I didn't think I was lost for so long on a purpose to live. Well, I have my purpose. I have my passion because I want. And my brain always operates to me that day before somebody out there. Now you got to do the work. I'm responsible for this, right? But God bless this plant, because here's the thing. The more we communicate, the more you guys have shows like this, the more that I can tune in. And I have a saying, don't tell me what, tell me who, right? They're my who's. I get the education. I look at the CBGs. To mention that, I have in the Pink Cannabis strain, and there's the strain out there, it's called Miss Elizabeth. Now, this is only an 8% THC, 12% CBD. I call it the Iron Man suit, because you can get as torqued as you want, or I can, and sort of then I got to do something where I got to collect myself. I'll hit a Miss Elizabeth a few times, and it's like you put the Iron Man suit on, Tony Stark style, and you're just a little bit off the ground. So you don't come back to earth, but you're just right there where we all want to operate. I always look at it like people want to operate. If everybody's operated on mini hoverboards, then they're vibrate, right? So then they're feeling the vibration of what this experience is all about. You feel it when you're at a cannabis event. There's a vibration there because it's the wholesomeness of people there for the same positive reasons. So, yeah, I love that. And CBG is another one. There's all these new ones that they start getting out with. The more the merrier, because it can only help and it can only educate us.
The regulators like to refer to CBN and CBG as novel cannabinoids, but I'd like to think of them as part of that beautiful ensemble effect that we talk about, that wonderful spectrum that you get when you're smoking actual full flower. However, being able to specifically dial in exactly what you need in order to satisfy what you're experiencing at that particular moment, that's the beauty of the plant, right?
I look at it like a symphony.
Yeah.
Like the largest symphony and the cannabinoids are all, some of them play similar instruments. Maybe there's this section here, but if you can listen in to the harp player when it's that spot, or they're all playing together at different, but isn't that the beauty of it? Isn't that novel? Who's this? Introduce me to this guy. See if they want to play some old timer hockey or something.
Oh man,
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I was mentioning you just a few moments ago before we came on air that Darren is actually a two-sport athlete, that after he completed his career in hockey, he's now decided at his age to go into the world of wrestling, Darren, right?
Well, I don't want to do it. It's just sometimes they make me. So I'm more behind the scenes. A lot of it, Rick, to it, though, and especially in the Michigan indie scene and all the best ones. And I talked to this because Harpo's tomorrow night, Saturday night, May 7th, is we're having Body Count, which is bringing in one of the biggest cards. And it's the hardcore deathcore guys. And everybody learned something or fell into something, I think, or fell back into something during COVID. I captured deathmatch wrestling. And to get to know these guys and a lot of these people behind it, it's the same sort of thing. And with me, that's where I focus, not only like sponsored with the brand, but the product, the CBD. Every wrestler's got the roll-on that comes through. Everybody gets, if they need the gummies and stuff like this, it's to let them know, like I said, I want to be known around here that you can have this conversation. Because why? Because the great people of this state, have made it this way, have fought for it this way. I mean, that's why I'm alive. So the fact that, like the fact that we're here, and that's really the underlying, I guess, double-edged sword or whatever else. So, hey, Rick, if I got to take a tube to the head or go through a door or whatever like this, whatever it takes for the plant. Remember, it's all about getting that plant love out there.
I love that. That is fantastic. If I have to crash through a door for cannabis, I'll do it, says Darren McCarty.
I will, baby. I will. That's not even a question.
Josh, we're almost finished with our segment with Darren. Do you have anything else you'd like to ask?
I would like to know how many people in the NHL use THC, because back then we didn't know about other cannabinoids like CBD. So how many of them were open, or at least that of at least consuming?
That wasn't an open thing. I could say I probably had, and it wasn't a teammate in Calgary. That was as much as, but it was like dude, you could do everything else, but it was like, this was so like taboo because we grew up like, if you smoke, you'd never make it to the NHL. You could drink as much booze as you wanted, or have some party lines, or get into anything you wanted that way, but don't ever smoke a joint, because that you just ruin it. And it's just crazy because that's the propaganda. And I lived by that until I found the secret, and then that was the alternative, and then I fought against it. And I'm glad that things are evolving so that guys can be educated. And see, here's the thing, because if you told me as a player that I couldn't have THC, but I could have CBD and CBN, I'd be good with that during the season. You'd have to let me smoke it legally in the off season, but during the season, I would be fine with that. Because you don't want to, and here's the thing, guys don't want to get high. Guys don't get high before they play, or like now, but I'm retired. But like the whole thing is, you don't even think about that. It's more of a recovery thing. It's more of to shut your brain down, to go after you played. Nothing like smoking a joint on your drive home after a big playoff win with the window down in the spring. Like that was cool. But you did it to chill out, so you didn't have to go to the bar and drink a million beers.
That's fantastic. You know, recently, we just have a couple minutes left, but recently you reunited with Claude Lemieux. One of the most famous fights in hockey was Darren McCarty versus Claude Lemieux, revenge match for what happened to Drapes. Did you happen to discuss cannabis use at all? Because you're so famous for it nowadays.
Yeah. Oh, no, absolutely. And the beauty is like to see all the, like a lot of the guys, but it's the can of curiosity and at least the CBD and the CBD roll on. That's where it starts. You know, like that's the whole thing. I the CBD gummies are the inside version of what the roll on is on the outside version. And it gets the conversation because guys are set in their ways and different things, but you just want to be like, I think everybody knows that I'm always available as far as, and I do have guys that reach out to me that I played against, or, you know, to when they have cannabis curiosity or direction or stuff like this. So it's great to see. It really is, and I'll always be that way, and I'll always have, you know, a door open for all those conversations. No matter, you don't have to be an athlete or not. Anybody. Just
another way Darren McCarty advocates for the plant. 4-time Stanley Cup Award winner, Darren McCarty. Thank you very much for joining Green Rush Live today with myself and Josh Kincaid. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Darren.
You bet, buddy. Thanks for everything, and I appreciate you. And thanks for doing this show because, you know, I know it means a lot to me, but it means a lot of people everywhere.
Thank you, Darren.
Don't forget to smash that like button on your way out and check out these other videos that we've got.